every place I ever worked, I always saw something that I wanted from it that I wasn't getting. So, we opened in a way that, like I said, was just non-negotiable. Medical, dental, vision, 401k, employer match, like robust vacation. We're about to roll out PTO for everybody. A really good mental health care. It's a lot of listening and conversation and pushing to be better. But, we're nothing without our team. You take care of them, they take care of everybody else, right? I mean, not only is it the right thing to do, but it's just good hospitality and common sense.
What's up, and thank you for checking out the Hospitality Strategy Lab. I'm Jason Littrell. I'm here with a monster get for me. These are the guys behind Cordelia in Cleveland. Since 2002, they've got the most important and relevant award as far as I'm concerned, which is the best place to work. And this was 2 months after they opened. Years later, they're looking at their second location. Andrew, thank you so much for joining me. Welcome to the show.
Thrilled to be here.
Us.
All right. So tell me about the business. How does one become the darling of how does one carry the spirit of an entire town? We'll start with the easy questions.
Cleveland is just a beautiful place. It really resonates when you take care of them well. It gives back thoroughly if you just feed them great food. It is Midwest through and through, regardless of what some folks say. I know we're on the edge of that. Yeah, you take great care of folks and you give them good food. They know how to eat. So yeah, it was I don't know.
So so just going to the cuisine real quick, like fried saltines and Kool-Aid pickles, like these seem like a little out of left field, but is that something that people have come to expect? It sounds delicious, by the way.
Yeah. So I think thank you. As Midwesterners, we're such a melting pot of culture and cuisine, from, all over Europe to really transplants from everywhere. My mom is from Alabama, so I spent a lot of time in the South, and, deep fried saltines in the South are a little more common. My Southern grandmother was the one who used to make me Kool-Aid pickles by just opening up a jar of store-bought pickles and spiking it with Kool-Aid. So some of these things, like, they're part of my Midwestern heritage, but, might not be a part of everybody's because we're such a melting pot of cultures and cuisines. So some of that kind of plays into like our personal storytelling of how we grew up as Midwesterners.
All right. So you guys, from the outside looking in, it looks like you're doing everything 100% right. Everything right. You're getting all the recognitions. James Beard is knocking on your door. When you guys met at Greenhouse Tavern, is that where you met?
Yes,
it is.
I've heard this place is, it was very driven and ambitious, but not necessarily as staff focused as Cordelia is. Where did that come from? Like, how did that inform the concept of Cordelia?
I mean, me personally, I tell a lot of people, like, I spent the majority of my career learning what not to do, right or wrong, however it is, like, there's a lot of points of positivity and learning good things, but there's also, a lot of learning that comes in from either doing the wrong thing or seeing the wrong thing and being able to take stock in what that is, so through the, and not even just the times at Greenhouse, but through, just ups and downs and adversity, like figuring out like what made sense. And, I told Andrew this, like, it's really the pandemic that kind of, lit a spark in my brain, I guess. Everything shut down, the world shut down. Our industry was, just kind of devastated. Everybody was like working to live, week to week paychecks. And then all of a sudden, nobody had anything. And it shone a really bright, glaring, poor spotlight on our hospitality industry, that we, as much as we called ourselves a hospitality industry, we weren't taking care of our people if this is what was happening. So, I knew from that moment, my brain kind of focused to like, I was in this like very chef driven mindset of like, oh no, it's all about the food. It's all about the, ingredients and putting together the perfect plates and, this really poor kitchen mentality to like, wait a second, like I was wrong. It's not about that. Don't get me wrong. Food's good. But it's about the people. I mean, without the people, there are no restaurants. There is no food. So, I knew personally from that point on, like, my goal was to take care of people better. How do we do that? Through the pandemic, I started a nonprofit organization feeding people out of the current restaurant that I worked at and then eventually into parking lots and just like, providing, provisions in any way, shape or form. And I never felt more connected to the hospitality industry than I did in those moments.
This is Cleveland family meal?
Yes. And this is just, in Cordelia, there was this moment I was trying to figure out, like, what my next step was coming out of the pandemic. And, I was, doing a pop-up sandwich shop and, literally like just smashing, burgers in parking lots and, uh, cooking in other people's homes just to kind of get by. And everything was going, pretty good. I was trying to figure out, what the next thing was. And I was in talks with another local group, the House 330 program in Akron, and they were very community oriented. And I'm like, okay, this seems kind of, really what I wanted to do. And then Andrew and I reconnected, and our ideals on hospitality were so parallel. And as we sat and talked more, and we courted each other for probably a month at least, knowing that this relationship was going to be just that, a relationship, a marriage more than anything else, because, get into business with somebody, you need to make sure it's going to be sustainable and last a long time. But we just talked about the change that we wanted to see in the industry. And ultimately it came around to, like, instead of talking about the things that we wanted to see differently or wishing the things that we had, we were just going to do them. And there was just a moment that we just had to stop talking about it and start doing it. And, I think that was really the beginning spirit of Cordelia, was people and hospitality at its core, no matter what. And, how do we do it better? How do we take care of people better? I like to think we're pretty good people, treat people with respect that they deserve and appreciate them, but that's like a very much a jumping off point for, better hospitality every day and making sure that you're, doing it. And I think that at the core of Cordelia is our people, and that's what makes it so special. And that's what has made it so successful.
How do you reinforce that every day with your staff? Like, how do you, when things go wrong, like, how do you hire and train people to represent that ideology every day? Or do you have to?
I mean, of course you do. I think, the culture that we've created that we stand by is something that needs nurtured every single day. We talk about it. It's like a game of Jenga. One block, it's going to make the whole thing fall. But, our goal is to continue to build it up better and keep it strong. And it's through a lot of positivity and reinforcement, and also the understanding of, like, everybody's going to make mistakes, and that's okay. Like, we want you to make mistakes. That's how you learn a little bit. Like, we're not going to, let you drown. But, if you go out there and you make your own autonomous decisions and they're maybe not the best ones, that's okay, because the next time you have that, you're in that predicament, you're going to most likely make the right decision because you've learned what the wrong decision was, So, I mean, giving folks the trust to be able to grow, our trust to be able to grow, and to, show them that they have us at their back so they can continue to thrive and to do things and to be able to continue to uplift them every day.
So looking at your Instagram, looking at your website, I think what is truly inspiring and astonishing about it is that you list everybody that works in the kitchen. You list everybody that works in the restaurant. And then also, if you look on the Instagram, then you are consistently celebrating the people that work with you. What is that? How does that change the psychology going into work every day? Do people appreciate it? Is it weird for them? Like, how does, it's, to me, it just seems amazing. Like, it's people, place, product, and process, and so you guys are demonstrating that in your stuff every day.
Yeah.
I think it's become natural in our building. It's expected to an extent. Everybody understands that, the team understands, I think, thoroughly, that they're the most important part of all of it. As Vinnie would say, it takes an army, right? We've got 60 some odd team members, and, we truly cherish each and every one of them. Every day we wake up trying to take better care of them, fold in more and more benefits, try to figure out how to, keep progressing and be there for them. Just, listening. It's a constant evolution, but it's non-negotiable in our space. We've learned along the way of every place I ever worked, I always saw something that I wanted from it that I wasn't getting. So, we opened in a way that, like I said, was just non-negotiable. Medical, dental, vision, 401k, employer match, like robust vacation. We're about to roll out PTO for everybody. A really good mental health care. It's a lot of listening and conversation and pushing to be better, but we're nothing without our team. You take care of them, they take care of everybody else, right? I mean, not only is it the right thing to do, but it's just good hospitality and common sense.
This seems to be a through line with the most successful operators in the world. Like Danny Meyer tried this, and like Danny Meyer does this, and like they try to take care of their people. You're about to open up another place, right? What would you do differently? Like, it seems like you did everything right with Cordelia, but like up to and including some of the most prestigious awards that you can get. What would you do differently about the new place? What are you going to do differently with the new place? Process
Install
wise.
insulated HVAC
Yes.
ductwork.
Double walled, insulated HVAC duct runs so they don't drip when it's humid.
Yeah. Which happens pretty often in Cleveland.
Yeah.
A lot of temperature controlling.
That was a lesson. I don't know. Yeah, instant chilled water dispensing station. A couple little things, just efficiency. But yeah, I mean, no big like cultural shift. Or I think we did exactly what we intended to do generally, and I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't think we change anything.
Yeah, I'd agree. I don't
this
think
is an
so.
extension of that.
Yeah, our culture is who we are at our core, and I think that all we're going to do is just continue that in the new space and continue to spread it throughout our community, this space and then the next.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, also I think it might be worth noting, Jason, like, the next restaurant, the new restaurant is an extension of taking care of our folks, giving more opportunity for growth and progression and, mobility and, learning. That's the motivation for doing that. And I think it's going to be as glorious as Cordelia. Like I said, Cleveland knows how to eat. So, we need to throw more at them, get them more seats and opportunities for that.
Mm-hmm.
So customers aren't a problem because everybody knows who you are and they love you to pieces. Staff isn't a problem because everybody loves working there. Stuff online is beautiful. Like your reviews are amazing consistently. What are you doing wrong? What mistakes have you made that you wish what do you wish you could claw back?
Not everything we hit out of the park. We've made mistakes, and I don't even know if I call them mistakes. I call them missteps because again, like a mistake is only something that you're repeating. These are the things that we're learning from as we go. Like Andrew said, we probably have 60 employees right now, give or take. What did we start off with? 20?
Yeah, 20, 30 something.
Yeah, 20.
Less than half.
Yeah. I believe we still have 7 of our original employees. Is that accurate?
I think it's closer to 10 or 12.
Okay. 10 or 12. I mean, half of our, 40% of our original employees are still with us, which has, been incredible. But, the other 60% are, and that's something that we take stock in. And not all of them, some of them left for very positive reasons because they got better opportunities. A lot of them still come in to see us, almost weekly. One of our opening team members, actually, she got her job that she was looking for out of college and then worked with us for a year and now still comes back and works with us every Friday. So, she's still in the restaurant pretty often. But, I think we learn from, our original hiring, the culture and the hospitality that we wanted to exude. And, sometimes that works out and sometimes it doesn't. And understanding that, it was definitely an ebb and flow of getting our, our bearings and our footing of what exactly that meant. And, making sure that it was prevalent everywhere and not just, at certain times or certain days and certain moments, but making sure that everybody on our entire staff was, had the same frame of mind of we're here to take care of people and not just our guests, but show respect to everybody that they work with and really just be, kind and welcoming and communicative. Yeah. So, I mean, it's, and like I said, not every person we hire works out perfectly, no matter how hard we try or do things, and Andrew will always say that, we'll always default to trying too hard or trying too much before we fail or before we give up, I should say.
Do you have a structure? Do you have some kind of a structured onboarding program that you have with your team? Like, is it systematized in a way that they have a kind of a predictable first 100 days kind of thing, or how does that work?
More so now than before, as we're into year 3. Yes, we have, opening, and we did this early on, obviously. When we opened, we trained for 3 weeks, all of our staff, 5 days a week, and built out the big training manual and, food glossary and a schedule of tasting and talking about, who we are and why we are and, food that we were doing and the culture that we wanted to exude. But as we opened and as our, I think our initial team, pretty much everybody was with us for almost the first year. And when we went into that next run of people leaving us for better opportunities or, going on and doing their own thing, we kind of stopped. We didn't do that hiring training guide again, because we were hiring like one person at a time. And, next thing you know, like we realized that was something that was missing as we were hiring people in. And so we kind of went back to, all right, let's get back to our roots. Let's make sure that people know the restaurant that they're going to work at, who we are, why we do the things that we do, what our expectations are, because, to be completely honest, like, clarity is kindness, and giving them the understanding of what our expectations are every day is important for them to understand, how they know what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong. And just getting into that really, training regimented routine again, and having sit downs after, the first week, second week, third week, to kind of get them understanding, where they are, how they're doing, to hear their feedback, so we can continue to grow. As we've done that, like I said, we've been open a little over 3 years now. The second kind of round of hiring, and not that it was bad, it just, we knew we could have done it better. We could have given people more systems and more, set them up better to succeed early on. And we were getting busy. We were trying to figure out what was going on, and acclimating to the business that we were receiving. And then, then our third, kind of round of major hiring happened, because we, like you said, we had 25 employees when we opened, and now we have a little over 60. We kind of went back to that, and we got into like, all right, let's like really give people the tools they need to succeed and to understand who we are and the things that we do. That's when we really saw like a huge shift and change, and people like really continuing to deep dive and buy into our culture. And it was also us, like, in this moment too, we were realizing that we needed to continue to build up our team from within. So we're like, we decided to like, all right, let's do service captains. Let's pick out some of our best front of house team members and give them a title, a little more responsibility, a little more pay, and help us really guide a next, regiment of hospitality team members. And so that was important, that they knew what we wanted. Most of them had been with us since the beginning, and they knew the culture, and they were able to continue to explain that culture when we weren't there every moment, because they were, and really be able to fill in those gaps and drive a lot of that home.
Have you ever, was there ever an occasion where you had to make a decision that was in the staff's best interest over a customer's best interest? Or you had to decide or make a change that was better for the staff than for the customer?
I think we always default to respect of our team. If somebody needs to go, if somebody needs, not served, spoken to, corrected on their behavior, respect is a two-way thing, right? So I think we'll always and always have sided with our team first and foremost. The guests can be in the wrong a lot of times, right? They can feel entitled, get a little loose, have too much drink, come in a little hot, and I think we make expectations and mutual respect, non-negotiable and mandatory. Yeah, I think, like policy, what do we do like strictly day in and day out for the team over the guest? We don't really do to go. We don't really do takeout. We don't do any of that Uber delivery stuff, right? We have exceptional talent in our kitchen and throughout our restaurant, and we want you to sit down and enjoy it as it should be. Neighbors, we'll throw a burger in a box from time to time for them if they come in, sit at the bar. But that was a conversation early on with Vinnie and I of like, are we doing this or not, right? So yeah, that's one example I can think of.
All right.
Yeah, I think the bigger thing is that the decisions that we've made for the team in the betterment of all the culture. I mean, we've made some very difficult decisions to part ways with individuals that we had, worked with for a while, or, respected their talents and abilities, but like ultimately were a detriment to the culture. And, something that we talked about, like this, there's no talent that is going to be more important than the continuing to grow or build our culture, and then making sure that, people are respected every single day. And I think that, part of that early on was definitely very hard to do and hard to kind of swallow. I mean, some of the folks that we had to part ways with had worked with us for a couple years. And so when we let them go, there was some grumblings amongst the staff, not understanding why necessarily, I guess, but ultimately very quickly realizing the whys and, the fact that we were doing better by making it harder on us, but ultimately better in the long run by, making sure that we were being true to the things that we were saying we were doing and continuing to grow a positive culture.
Thank you for that. What are some numbers that you care about? What are some numbers that you look at every day that you track on a daily basis?
I look at all the numbers every day, I guess. I don't know about the ones that I care about the most. I mean, obviously you need to not lose money when you're running a business. I actually take it back. The one number I look at I look at them all every day, but the one number I do look at a lot is our comps. We send out a nightly recap every night, and, it has our sales, our labor numbers, and then, has our voids and our comps. And our comps are always somewhere in the hundreds of dollars. And they're not comps because of mistakes. They're comps for people celebrating with us, anniversaries, coming in for something special, or sometimes they're just like, this couple was very lovely. They couldn't decide between this or that, so we sent them the other thing as well. Or, heard that they were, I don't know, whatever it was. But like reading that paragraph on that recap is kind of special, I guess, because I don't care how much money we gave out, because all of those things went to like such a hearing about like, all the people who came in who had a great experience with us, and the friends and family discounts that we give on a nightly basis, the sending out special dishes for folks celebrating something or wanting to try something and didn't get it, or we give our staff autonomy to like make everybody's night, and we want them to engage and to know that they have our trust to give away something, and they don't take advantage of it by just like doing everything, but they'll come up and say, hey, like this person really wanted to try this, but they didn't order it. Can we send them out a half portion or this or that? And we're like, of course we got you. Like, and we'll, make sure that we're giving that guest, a new experience because of that. And so I guess that's the number that I look at the most are those comps, and for the right reasons, I guess.
Yeah, no,
It
was very thoughtful.
If there was a number that truly reflected like retention and turnover, that'd be the only thing I'd care about, other than checking the bank accounts to make sure we're not bouncing checks so we can pay our rent and cover payroll. I really don't care. If we take great care of folks, everything else takes care of itself for me. And yeah, there's not a number or like a figure, an equation, I think that accurately reflects how you're doing culturally and your retention and how you're, hanging on to people and taking care of people. So many folks are in and out of, the business and in our space, included, heading off to college or, different career path, or just wrapped up a degree, or, they're not in it for the long haul, or they wanted to move to New York because they're young and they can, and why not, right?
But that's why our rents are so high here, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you for all that. Thank you for all the people that moved from Cleveland to New York to raise our rent. Appreciate it.
Well, if you see Caroline on the street,
if Cleveland could hang on to I'd do anything for Cleveland to hang on to more young folks, because more population, we could really continue. But kids will do that.
Is Midwest nice? Is that a thing that is just something that is ingrained in the culture from people that grew up in, say, Cleveland?
Without a doubt. Yeah, you don't go in and out of anywhere, right? A storefront without holding the door for somebody a few steps behind, I love New York. I love visiting New York. It's not the Midwest, right? You go to other places and, folks aren't saying hi. Like, you walk down the street here, you look people in the eye, you say hello. It's just normal. I think, acknowledging others and being friendly is, it's just how most everyone acts and behaves around here.
Okay. Well, maybe I should just move to Cleveland then and raise your rent.
There you go.
Come on, by, you'd love it. It's a great place.
I know it's been a long time, but I remember having a pleasant experience when I was there. All right, one last question. It seems like you guys have so clearly defined what it is that you want it to be, and took every day made a step towards that. And here you are, like at this tremendous level of success professionally. And as far as like the culinary world is concerned, you guys are darlings. What is a piece of advice that you just like consciously ignored? You're just like, we're just not going to do that. Like a piece of wisdom or best practice that you're just like, we're not going to do that. We don't do that. That's not how we do things. Andrew was talking about like, like the number that he cares about is like actually not a number that like commonly exists, like a staff retention metric. Whereas like an accountant would say or like your any business coach would be like your labor cost has to be 17% or below, or your food cost has to be 17%. Your beverage cost has to be less than 20%, et cetera. You guys seem to kind of ignore that kind of stuff because you're hospitality first, staff centric, staff first, and like everything else kind of works its way out. And as you said, Andrew, you're like, as long as there's enough cash to clear the checks, then you're not too fussed about it.
Yeah, I think an old like business adage I always heard was pay yourself first, right? And that's something I certainly don't believe in. I think you take care of the space, you take care of the team, you make sure everybody has what they need, and you will be profitable. There'll be plenty of, money for everyone. Don't grow too fast. Be modest about, your overhead as much as you can. But yeah, take care of the team, take care of the facility, give back to it, right? Because it gives to everyone. And I think that's a priority always.
I don't think there's any, advice that anybody had told me as we were going on that wasn't like, some pieces we're able to use. Like I said, I spent a lot of time learning from a lot of different places of, it's a bad thing to say, but like what not to do, and turning those into positive moments of how to do it better with Cordelia. And I think it's what we do every day. Like we don't settle for anything. We completely an open book as to whoever has the best idea. It doesn't matter. That's the best thing that we're going to do. And, we're going to continually, incrementally do it better every single day and understand that, today was great. Tomorrow we can do it better and just kind of keep growing in that realm and be appreciative and happy and satisfied, but still understand that, hospitality is an evolution. There's always an opportunity to do it a little bit better.
All right, guys, that's all I got for you. Thank you so much for jumping on the Hospitality Strategy Lab. I really appreciate your time. This has been Andrew Watson and chefs Vinnie Cimino, the partners in Cordelia in Cleveland. If you look at any of their stuff online, it's just like the playbook on exactly what to do. Celebrate your staff, celebrate your people, celebrate your product, celebrate your process. These guys are crushing it. Thank you guys again, and I will see you soon. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Appreciate it.
Thank